Here's an idea about correction that many parents find revolutionary. It's important and often needed, especially when parents are feeling like there's so much tension in the home. Constant correction, especially if a child has a problem like ADHD, they're just magnets for correction. And some parents feel like, wow, I'm just so negative all the time because I'm always correcting. Other times, parents have significant challenges with some of their kids, and those kids need a lot of correction. And so it just seems to be a lot of negativity and tension that exists. And one of the things we can understand and realize here that will change the way we do this is recognizing the difference between discipline and punishment. Discipline and punishment. Now, punishment is usually motivated out of anger, where discipline is motivated out of love. Punishment focuses on the past misdeeds, where discipline is focusing on the future good deeds. Punishment is this sense of justice. You did this, so you get that. Where discipline has more of this teaching emphasis that we're moving in a direction here that will be helpful. Punishment is more negative and discipline is more positive. And if we take that one idea, it helps us come alongside a child and say, look, you did the wrong thing, and I'm going to discipline you for it. But here's where you need to go. There's this sense that we're moving alongside the child to move them in a direction of where they need to be. Some parents, they've gone through some things with a child, and they say, this child really needs a consequence. And sometimes those parents are not thinking about discipline. I mean, the child's already upset. The child's already sorry for what they did. And we see the heart change that we want, but then the parent feels like they need to give them a consequence for some reason. I think it's because they often have this sense of justice. They did the wrong thing. They need to receive a punishment or a consequence. I just don't think that's the best way to think about things. If we're thinking about heart change, and we're looking at heart change, then when we see it, that's what we want to grab onto, and we want to emphasize the growth that we're seeing in a child's life. After all, the scriptures say in Hebrews 12:11, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who've been trained by it. We want to help a child move from where they are to where they need to be, and that's going to require correction. The correction isn't the most powerful tool in the toolbox. Training is more powerful, but if we're going to zero in on correction, because all children need correction, and we zero in on it, we want that correction to have a positive focus to it. It's going to have that positive focus when we're focusing on where we need to go instead of where we are presently. And that involves this idea of discipline, teaching, training. It's much more loving. It's much more positive. And it is firm. Okay, so sometimes we are going to give a consequence, whatever that consequence might be, but we're going to do it in a way that's saying we're motivating you in this direction. We want you to move forward. So it's not about justice. Parents who think about justice find themselves continually administering consequences to children in hopes that they're going to learn. There's a lot more to learning and training than this idea of punishment. So discipline really is this idea of teaching and training and modeling and helping a child move to where they need to be. It's this, if we can move into that mode, even our correction changes, it becomes more positive, and we find ourselves moving in the direction that we need to move in as parents. And hopefully our children are going to grasp that as well. Yes, sometimes we're going to be very firm with our child. We'll say, you can't do that. The answer is no. What you did is wrong. I think that's great. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that, but we want to add that positive side of it that says, let me teach you what this looks like. Or I want you to sit down and think of a way that you can be kind to your sister when she's doing the wrong thing before you can come back to me. And that kind of correction is much more forward focusing. It's much more movement toward developing a character a child needs. And it provides lifelong lessons for kids. So in essence, what we're doing is we're helping children develop the life skills they need for the rest of their lives. That's what discipline is. It's a sense of coming alongside a child and saying, we're moving in a different direction because this is the direction that's going to help you be successful in life. We can't do this thing, but we are going to move this way. Let me show you what that looks like. And we're going to practice that. All of that is discipline. And we want our children to experience that. Let's move away from the punishment mentality to the discipline mentality, and it will make our discipline much more positive.